In this episode, we take you to Brisbane, the capital city of Queensland, which is fondly known as the River City. We have been to Brisbane many times for many different reasons and events, and we are positive that we have discovered the best place to stay, and we share where it is and all the things that make it so good. So here's a hint: location, location, location. If you're interested in river walks, live music, international or local sporting events, musicals, great restaurants, rock climbing, comedy shows, stunning parklands, or anything in between, then this is the podcast for you. Keep listening to the end to hear what is being constructed in our favourite part of Brisbane and why we describe it as the icing on the cake. So please enjoy episode 38, all about Brisbane. Cheers! And welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Lyle, and this is the travel podcast for beach-loving, wine-drinking couples over 50.
So if that sounds like you, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and listen as we go travelling the world, one wine at a time.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome back to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. Hi Lyle.
Morning, Leonita.
So today we're talking about the capital of Queensland, Brisbane. And I guess depending on whether you're Australian and you live in Queensland, you think it's great, or if otherwise you're not quite sure about Brisbane. We're not going to talk everything about Brisbane City because it's so big, as you're going to tell us. We're going to talk about how the best way, where we think is the best place to stay and why, for either a weekend or 2 or 3 night midweek getaway, aren't we? But First of all, Lyle's going to do his thing and tell us all about really like where it is and the history of it, because it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. Look, Brisbane, I'm going to read some of this, but Brisbane, the population is about 1.2 million. The area is 1,343 square kilometres. Brisbane's the capital of Queensland. The city of Brisbane is the 3rd largest city council by area, behind New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's partially due to the fact that when it was established, most councils only do the inner city, whereas...
and then every other suburb or 2 suburbs has its own local government.
Whereas when they initially set up the Brisbane metropolitan area, that was like an amalgamation of about 20 different councils. So the history is, in 1823, explorer John Oxley described the area as a jungle, fringed with mangroves, with higher land open forest covered by grass. In 1827, Alan Cunningham became the first European to discover the fertile country of the Darling Downs, west of Brisbane. Despite colonists' desire for new land, some 13 years passed before the first squatters occupied a run on the Downs. Now, you didn't know this.
Right.
The early name was Eden Glassy.
Right.
That was changed to honour Sir Thomas McDougall Brisbane, Governor of New South Wales, from 1821 to 25, when the convict settlement was declared a town in 1834.
You know what? I wish they'd call it McDougall instead of Brisbane. How cool would that be?
Yeah, McDougall. It's pretty good. And it's spelled M-A-K, which is a bit different. Now, Kangaroo Point, one of Brisbane's oldest suburbs, the first house was built in 1844. The Governor of Queensland created the City of Brisbane metropolitan area under a single planning and governance structure. The City of Brisbane Act 1924 received assent from the Governor on the 30th of October 1924. So basically, we're only about 98 years old.
About 98, yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So it depends on what month it was, I suppose.
I guess so.
But so it's incredible when you look at like the city itself, how much has happened in that 98 years.
Yeah. All right, so that's Brisbane, and it's I don't know if you said there, but it's right down south of Queensland. Because Queensland's a massive state.
Correct.
And so it's probably about an hour north of the New South Wales border. Now, you did mention there though Kangaroo Point. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up now is because we stay at Kangaroo Point when we go to Brisbane, and that's what we're going to sort of focus on today, is that Kangaroo Point area and places you can go easily from there, correct?
Correct.
So Kangaroo Point, we stay at a hotel called Docks on Goodwin. Now, we love going there, and it's such a great place because it's easy to drive to, and as anyone that knows me knows that that's one of the criteria. And it's also, you can park your car and you never have to drive it again if you don't want to. The Docks on Goodwin itself, you know, there we get an apartment, there's a kitchen, it's got great views of the city, or on the other side you've got views of the river. We're going to tell you about Brisbane River in a minute. And, you know, but the facilities there, it's got like a pool that you can swim laps in, it's got like a barbecue area.
And got gymnasium.
Tennis court, like it's just a great spot, you know, even if you don't want to go anywhere, you know, you could stay at the Docks on Goodwin. And it's pretty reasonably priced too, isn't it?
It's only about 3 minutes walk from the Story Bridge Hotel.
There we go, that's the number one, isn't it? So Kangaroo Point is, if you don't know Brisbane at all, there's sort of this little headland that juts out into the Brisbane River, and it's where one side of the Story Bridge starts, and the other side obviously goes across to the Howard Street Wharf area, which we're going to talk about. So when you're walking around Kangaroo Point where we stay, there's basically, you're walking under the bridge, and as you mentioned, the Story Bridge Hotel, which is built in under the Story Bridge, right? Yeah. But there's the Brisbane River, which we might just talk about now as well, because Brisbane is known as the River City.
Correct.
Yeah, and for good reason, right?
Sure.
It's got the Brisbane River, which you tell me is quite substantial.
Yes, I do tell you that. It's about, look, we've been to a lot of European, especially Spain, and you know, often there's rivers that flow through the towns. But I've got to tell you, none of them are really as big as the Brisbane River. It's 344 kilometres long, which is 214 miles. Its average width is about 250 metres, and at its greatest width, it's about half a kilometre.
Yeah.
So it's pretty big. The river is a tidal estuary, and the water is brackish from its mouth through the majority of the Brisbane metropolitan area. Westward to the Mount Crosby Weir. When we say brackish, that means that it's got more salinity than freshwater, but not enough to be called seawater.
The bull shark didn't mind it.
No, we did. We saw a bull shark.
Right under the Story Bridge.
Yeah. And it actually says in all the research that I looked at it that the bull sharks were, probably the most common and the biggest predator in the river. Now, the river
goes up to the weir, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wovenhoe Dam.
Wovenhoe Dam.
Yeah, and that's a nice area if you ever go for a drive, and it's not that far from where we live, the Sunshine Coast.
And that's the water supply area of
Brisbane.
Brisbane, right.
Sure.
So now, because it's called the River City and the river's so wide and so long, and the Brisbane River sort of, if you saw it from the air, sort of snakes all the way through the city, sort of dividing it in two, South Brisbane, North Brisbane, right? And
sure.
And never the what is it?
Twain shall meet.
Yeah. People live in North Brisbane, who'd want to live in South and vice versa. We're not getting into that argument now because we walk across from one to the other and love both. But the way to get round, obviously if you live there too, but, for us, we're talking about having a few days in Brisbane, is if you want to go to the other side of the river, you can get on the City Cats.
Yep.
Now, there's City Cats, which are these beautiful big boats, catamaran sort of style boats that glide through the water. Then they've got the Kitty Cats, which are a smaller catamaran. And
you've also got the ferries and the hoppers.
Yeah, and so the little city hoppers. Now, the city hoppers are free.
Yep.
So, if you're not in a hurry, they're great.
Yeah. But they just mainly service the inner city area.
Correct, yeah. So from Kangaroo Point across to the city, or up to South Bank, so they've got that sort of area, which we're going to talk about South Bank in a minute as well. But now, which is really good, you can just use your card to tap on, tap off.
Correct.
Yeah, which, thank goodness, that seems to be the logical thing to do, rather than buy a Go card and all that crap that you had to do.
Yeah.
Or have the cash to buy it from the guy, the ferry driver. So, yeah, the City Cats are great. And, I've been on them just to get to where I want to go, or you can actually hop on and do a bit of a river cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's, I don't know how many stops there are, quite a lot, and take you from one end, up sort of past St Lucia, the
university
area, sort of all the way down to Hamilton, down the river there, and that's where the cruise ships coming up that way, not quite as far as the River Cats. And then I've also been on the river at night, and that's beautiful. You can sort of I've got on at South Bank, and you can see all the city lights. Brisbane City at night is just amazing, and gliding down that huge Brisbane River at night time on a City Cat, there's nothing quite like that. That's very Brisbane-ish to me.
Is that after a night out, or?
Yes, probably.
Yes, so it'd probably look even better, wouldn't it?
Another reason we stay at Kangaroo Point is we love walking.
Yep.
And if you've listened to any other podcast, you probably know that. That's how we like to get around if we can. And Kangaroo Point has, for me, one of the perfect places to walk. And we start where we're staying at Docks on Goodwin, and you just head over to the path that runs along the river, and that path takes you sort of around a park area, and you walk under the bridge.
Yep.
And sort of do circumnavigate sort of the top of the Kangaroo Point sort of peninsula a bit. It's not that far, and then you end up on the northern side of the Kangaroo Point. And the path takes you then all the way into South Bank.
Correct.
Yeah. But on the way, there's a whole lot to see. So you've got the Kangaroo Point and the houses, and on your left as you're walking towards South Bank, and on the right you've got the Brisbane River, and then the city of Brisbane. So you can see all the buildings there. And on your way, there's it's a really wide path, and they've got areas just for walking and areas for bikes, because the bikes freaking hoon along there, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They're a bit scary at times. And one of the shows I like to watch is filmed on the Brisbane River, Haro, and they've got like the pontoons and the little jetties where that's filmed. All the little, like, what are they, like little shade areas that you can sit all the way along, isn't there? You can hop in. There's little bench seats,
little boathouses, I suppose you call them.
That's it, little boathouses. But one of the places along the way is called River Life.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is like a big sort of, warehousey sort of building, and they do a lot of group tours from there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so kayaks,
canoes, all the water sports.
So we often see groups of, say, high school kids, or like you and I could do it if we wanted to, row on the river, but
No,
and they've also got
you've got a City Cat for that.
Yeah, you've got outdoor areas where they obviously do functions as well, so
sure.
people.
There's also a fabulous little coffee place.
Yeah,
as
right
well.
there. Yeah. So that's, so there's a cafe right there that you can sit, get your coffee and sit there right over the river, which is really nice, and watch all the people, the river life, happening around you, which is called River Life, I guess. That's good. And then up above that is another cafe. Now you can walk up to that cafe, but how far would that be up?
Oh, it's a long way.
It's a lot of stairs.
Put it this way, it's that high that we've never done it. But you could actually rock climb.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, hang on, let me finish. You can hear the cafe up there, and they always sound like people are having a nice time. And imagine the views from up there would be pretty spectacular as well. But that's right. So just under that cafe is like the Kangaroo Park sort of cliffs, I guess they call them, where people do rock climb, don't they?
Yeah. It's actually very popular. Every time we've been there, there's been someone rock climbing, and they actually do tuition.
Yeah, I've done
it. Oh, you have? Oh, that's right. You did it with your daughter-in-law.
And son, we did it. And I didn't get up as far as I probably thought I could have, but it was a bit nerve-wracking. But, you're in a harness and you're on a rope, and, like, even if you let go, you're okay, right?
So it must have been a while ago.
It was. Yeah, Jake was too. But will I do it again? Probably not, but I love watching the people do it.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other thing all along that walk is there's often, you know, those fancy picnics set up, isn't it? You know, where they've got like the umbrellas and the cushions scattered and the little rugs and the little tables, and it's a really beautiful area along there, and some unusual artworks, your sculptures and things. You know, there's some pelicans made out of all this old wrought iron and stuff sitting out in the river, and I think that's pretty cool. So you keep walking along, you know, past river life, past the, you know, the rock climbing and, you know, the little picnics and the playgrounds, and eventually you end up at South Bank.
Well, before that, you walk past the Queensland Maritime Museum.
Yes.
And then right at the start of the South Bank precinct, you've got the old Regatta Hotel.
Yeah, so that's, I was just about to say, so you come up around, and if you're there sort of summer, you'll see all the jacaranda trees, which are beautiful, like that beautiful purple colour. And there's parts of Griffith University as well, which, you know, like a big building, and there's the Children's Hospital, which is all there. Great big buildings to see. But then, as you said, you come around and there is the Regatta Hotel, which is sort of the entrance to the South Bank precinct. Now, also there is the Goodwill Bridge, that we'll talk about in a little while, which is a pedestrian-only bridge that takes you over the other side of the river.
Yeah.
South Bank was the site of
the Expo.
The Expo, right? Yeah. So it was, you know, area on the South Riverbank, and, you know, it was developed for the Expo. And since then, it's been continually developed. But it's now a destination on its own. And it's probably one of the most well-known, well-used, beautiful areas of Brisbane, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the one big advantage that for South Bank here is that our weather.
Yeah. And
it's just, we have pretty consistent weather. Like, you're talking about, you know, 20 degrees, 22 degrees in winter. Beautiful, bright, sunny winter's days. And so for South Bank, which it's really in maybe 3 or 4 precincts, you've got the beach, man-made beach there, and there's a couple of, there's 3 actual pool areas, and one of those is for kids, is the activities area, which has got, you know, water spurts and all that sort of thing. The beach, man-made beach one, is big enough to, you know, if you're into your swimming, and you can do lap swimming. Then you've also got, obviously, the restaurants and cafes, and they start from burger joints to basically upmarket a la carte restaurants, and we've dined in a few of those. It's all magnificent. And then you've also got the cultural side of it. You've got QPAC,
which is the Queensland Performing Arts Centre.
Yeah, and that's, you know, from anything to musical theatre to, you know, just theatre. We saw the Jersey, was it the Jersey Boys?
Yes.
Yes, and there, and that was fabulous.
I've seen Mamma Mia with my daughter there.
Yeah, you saw Mamma Mia, so they have some fabulous shows there. Then you've got the Queensland Museum, which is in that precinct as well. Now, I said 4, so there's beaches, restaurants, Cultural Centre, and
I don't know, the other one will come to you. Maybe just Parkland.
Yeah, maybe just Parkland.
Because there's a whole area of tropical garden that you walk through. There's the Japanese, you know, garden area with, you know, even the Japanese buildings in there as well, and lots of playground areas as well for children. You know.
And they've also got free barbecues there.
Yeah. And
also on Sunday they have
markets.
Well, they have, not only do they have markets, but they also have live music.
Yeah.
Basically,
I'm sure they have it other days
on the lawns.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and now the markets there are called the collective markets, and they run Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night, and also Sunday during the day. So they're pretty popular. We've seen those as well. So
can I talk about, just quickly before we move on?
Of course you can. You're in charge.
I don't think so. But anyway, so you arrive at the Regatta Hotel, and if you arrive from that into South Bank, then you come across this pathway which is covered in these huge arches, which has bougainvillea growing all over it, and most of the time that's in full bloom. So you've got that hot magenta colour, which you just want to wander down, and the path sort of curves around, so
it's just shady. Meanders around.
Yeah, beautiful. And then
a little bit like a river,
maybe. And along the way you can sort of jump off into, like, there's children's playground. In fact, one day I was walking along and nearly got bowled over by a kid coming out of there on a scooter. And then up a bit further, it takes you to the beach area, or you can take, there's like a community sort of garden area as well. So I love it, not just because it has all the restaurants and the markets and that stuff. I just think it's stunning with all the garden areas. It's just beautiful. As I said, you've got tropical gardens, you've got Japanese gardens. You've got these big art gardens now with great big sort of rainbow balls hanging in them, and there's places to sit, and they've got like outdoor specific areas just to have cocktails, and it's always evolving. The huge playgrounds, if you've got kids, and as you were talking about the pools and all that sort of stuff, and there are always some beautiful places to eat. But there's a pathway all along the river, right?
Correct.
And it's really wide, and it's got like little brick walls, and we sort of where you can sit and under the shade of the big trees that are and we've been there where they've had Chinese lanterns hanging down, and Chinese New Year, and there's as you say, there's always something on. There's always different festivals.
Oh, I think there was and there was a Buddhist festival, and there was a an Indian festival, like Hindu festival, and that sort of thing. So all those cultural international festivals are all focused in South Bank.
And they decorate the whole area.
It's brilliant.
I don't think I've ever been there and it hasn't looked absolutely stunning, right?
And I don't think we've ever been there that the weather hasn't been perfect.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful place to visit. If we can drag ourselves away from South Bank, sometimes we can't, other times we can, we generally will then walk across one of the bridges, and the one we mentioned earlier was the Goodwill Bridge, and that's a pedestrian only bridge, not pedestrian only, no cars, so there's people on bikes and scooters now, and that goes across the river. There's a little coffee shop along the way as well, little caravan there, you can buy coffee. And that brings you out sort of at the beginning of the Botanic Gardens of Brisbane. Now, the Botanic Gardens also is like right there is like the QUT, which is like the Queensland University of Technology campus.
Yep.
And also Queensland Parliament House is there, and the beginning of the Botanic Gardens, right? And you can wander through those Botanic Gardens. They're not big, but they're beautiful. Like things just grow like crazy in Brisbane. Like you can walk sort of along a path up a bit higher, or there's a path that goes right down through the mangroves around the Botanic Gardens, which is pretty nice. Like the water's lapping there, and you can see all the yachts and things sort of tied up on their whatever they're called, their moorings. And they have markets there as well, but there's lots of areas, lots of shady areas, lots of picnic areas. There's a beautiful cafe that you can sit up, and look down over the gardens as well. So I love the Botanic Gardens in Brisbane.
It's 200,000 square metres is the area. Okay. It was established in 1826.
Right.
To provide food for the early penal colony. The City Botanic Gardens.
And yes, it's
officially opened in 1855.
Okay.
So
it was there to provide food, and now it's there to provide, eye candy.
Basically, look, it's a beautiful area. The gardens house a collection of approximately 600 plant species set in undulating grounds. The gardens are bordered by mature shade trees, which also creates...
Yes, what does it create, Tom?
Avenues and groves, which is what you said before. I read that little bit.
I was trying to say.
Yeah. Look, it's... so on
one side you've got the Brisbane River, and on the other side is one of the main streets in Brisbane, and in the middle is this, gorgeous Botanic Gardens. And, once again, if you've listened to any of our other podcasts, I do like a
Leanne's
nice
a bit of a sucker for a garden.
I am a sucker for a garden. So, but if you're not a sucker for a garden... And,
I know where you're going
then
now.
you may as well just, click, see you later, motors now. You don't know what I'm going to say.
I do.
Okay. But if you're not into gardens, you can still walk across the river.
See.
And probably more people are into shopping than me. And you come out at Queen Street Mall, the top of Queen Street Mall, right?
Yes.
So, and right at the top of Queen Street Mall is the Treasury Casino, which is being overshadowed by the new Star Casino and a new bridge being built, but that's, we won't worry about that today. But yes, you come out right at the top of Queen Street Mall. On one side is the Queensland Museum of Modern Art, which is, you know, like this big coloured sort of cubey box. And then you can wander down the pedestrian-only, wide Queen Street Mall, which I love.
Leanne does. In fact, quite often we arrive at the Queen Street Mall about midday, which is surprising. And the reason that's surprising, because Leanne normally looks at me, because we've got a favourite little bar that's in the middle of the King Street Mall, and there's quite often
Queen Street Mall.
What did I say?
King Street.
No, Queen Street. Actually, to be honest, the Botanic Gardens originally was called Queen's Park.
Okay.
So, and yeah, this is like a double-story place. We quite often get up on the second story, and they often have like street performers. And they do have Leanne's favourite wine, Shaw and Smith, and we have been trapped there a couple of times.
Sure, but not everybody gets trapped. You know, they might enjoy.
It's not my fault.
No, there's some beautiful shopping there. They've got the big Maya Centre.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, so many stories high. There's a big cinema complex there. It's a lovely, and they're doing it up all the time. There's a big winter garden place. There's a David Jones Centre, and you know, it's really close to Central train station as well if you come in from another direction. So, you know, we do wander around there a bit, you know, because we don't have those sort of big shopping centres here. We're a bit, you know, on the Sunshine Coast. And from there, you know, if you want to, you can then head down to back to the river, down to Eagle Street Pier area. Now, the Eagle Street Pier area is well known for another place to eat and restaurants and that sort of stuff. And you can then, if you want to, you can hop on a ferry and head back over to Kangaroo Point, which is, you know, you can basically throw a rock, couldn't you? If you were like a good cricketer, you'd be able to do that. Or what we've done on occasion, and which is a great thing to do, is you can then walk around this side of the river under some huge apartment blocks, and you come out on the other end of the Story Bridge, and at that end of the Story Bridge is a new precinct, relatively new precinct, called Howard Street Wharf, right?
Howard Smith Wharf, yeah.
Howard Smith Wharf,
yeah. Look, it is
and
modern now.
Felons Brewery, which is a huge, you know, brewery, restaurant, cafe, and there's I didn't count, but there's, you know, at least another half dozen different cafes and restaurants there now, and a hotel as well, and a rooftop bar and a function area, and now there's, you know, you can catch the ferry there as well. So I think a lot of people go there for work functions and you know, like with groups, it's a really good spot for that. But you know, once you walk there, you can sit under the Story Bridge at Felons Brewery and either have a cold beer, or, you know, we've been there in the morning as well and had coffee, right? Yeah, look, it's an amazing area. Originally, it was built in the 1930s, and in the 1960s, it became dormant, I suppose. And so, you know, a developer has come along and they've really done a fantastic job. There's also a hotel there, like accommodation, and as Leanne said, there's restaurants, cafes, bars. Fallon's Brewery, which is you know, multi-award-winning place. There's also a lift. Yes, we found the lift. Yeah, that goes up to the Story Bridge. Look, there's a walkway that you can continue on. We have done like a bit of a walk down that way, but you know, it's worth going down around the precinct itself and having a look. There's some playground areas and things for kids as well. Yeah, there's about 13 restaurants and cafes and bars, and there's the Stanley Cantonese restaurant, and there's the Ciel Papi. That's a delicious Italian restaurant, and Yoko Dining, which is Japanese. But there's a lot more other casual dining, and also you've got Fallon's Brewery, they serve food as well. But yeah, look, fabulous idea, and now that they've actually got one of the CityCat terminals there. So, you know, Leanne and I, and it's just, when we were last down there, they were just completing it. So Leanne and I are really looking forward to being able to just jump on the CityCat or the Hopper
and go directly across the river to...
From Kangaroo Point.
Yeah,
from Fairlands back to Kangaroo Point.
And
vice versa, yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
But, yeah, look, they've done a fabulous job there.
It's a very popular spot with the younger generation, you know, like it's pretty in happening crowd. That's why we go.
I was going to say, how do they let us in? You know, I'm sure. I'm
glad we discovered it though. It's a really nice spot. Yeah,
they may start asking us for proof of age soon.
They may. From the Howard Street, I say that all the time. Howard Smith Wharf area. You can, as we said, catch a ferry back over to Kangaroo Point, or what we do sometimes is we walk over the Story Bridge, and there's two walkways on either side, and I don't know how long the Story Bridge Hotel is. I don't like walking across bridges. I don't like bridges, but, you know, so I just put my head down, bum up, and I just speed across. I don't like it at all. And lots of people not lots, a few people didn't used to like it because they used to jump off it, didn't they?
Yeah.
But anyway, they've put these great big, it's safe as now. You know,
it's 3 metre high safety fences.
And you're not near you are near the cars, but there's like a wall, you know. It's safe.
It is safe.
But I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not your go.
No. So we walk across that, and I get across as quickly as I can to the other side, and that's where the Story Bridge Hotel is.
Yeah.
But people climb the bridge, right?
Yeah.
There's a Story Bridge climb, and it's about a 2-hour. And you can look at all the photos of our Brisbane travels at beachtravelwine.com and go to the podcast show notes page. This is episode 38, but you will not see me climbing on the Story Bridge. I'm just telling you that now. But for people who would like to, Lyle,
it's only $129 per head.
Bargain to be scared shitless.
Now, I'll give you the details on the Story Bridge.
Oh, the actual Story Bridge.
Okay, so its height is 74 metres or 243 feet.
No wonder I don't like it.
The length is 777 metres.
Which I cover in about a minute flat.
Which is about 2,500 feet. The bridge connects Fortitude Valley to Kangaroo Point.
Yeah.
The Story Bridge opened in 1940 and was tolled until 1947.
So 7 years.
Yeah, and it was named after a prominent public servant, John Douglas Story, and he was the one that really pushed for the bridge that they needed. Mm-hmm. Originally, the bridge was to be called the Jubilee Bridge in honour of King George V.
Right.
Now, this is what really interested me. The primary challenge...
we all find it interesting too.
Well, you know, the primary challenge, I'm reading this, in constructing the bridge was the southern foundation that went 40 metres, 130 feet, below ground level. It was not possible to excavate to that level as water from the level would rapidly seep in. So a pneumatic caisson technique had to be used as men were working under pressure of up to 4 times normal pressure. A decompression period of almost 2 hours was needed at the end of each shift to avoid the bends. Now, all on-site, and then an on-site airlock hospital successfully treated 65 cases of the bends that did occur. So it was a real thing. Like, what I'm saying is that's back in 1840s, and they've got the techniques to do that. I just think that's phenomenal.
And that was at the southern end, and that's where Docks on Goodwin is. That's the area that we stay in and we walk around. So that'll happen there. And there's actually...
It's because the other side's higher, which means they didn't have to do the foundations as low.
Sure. But there's always seems to be something happening under that end of the under the bridge though. Like, you know, even last time we were down there's construction going on. They're building more buildings and things under the bridge there, right on the peninsula, it looks like. So... yeah, so that was quite interesting. Oh, yeah, I'm sure our listeners will appreciate that.
So, I thought they would.
Okay, but the other thing that probably interests you about the Story Bridge is the Story Bridge Hotel.
I would say the Story Bridge Hotel interests me far greater than the Story Bridge itself.
Look, it's a lovely old hotel that's been, like, what's the word? Not reconstructed, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Basically, it was built in 1886 as the Kangaroo Point Hotel. So It wasn't the Story Bridge.
Okay.
It changed its name in the 1940s to coincide with the Story Bridge opening.
So the pub's been there a long time.
Yeah, it has. And what they did...
it was probably for all the people that didn't get the bends.
Yeah, in 1978, the Jury family obtained a photograph of the hotel in 1912, which depicts the building as it looks today. The photograph inspired Barry Drury to restore the hotel to its former glory.
That's the word I was looking for.
I knew that. That's why I thought I'd slip this in. A process that took over a decade of red tape and regulation wrangling to occur. Look, it's iconic, the hotel.
Yeah, so it's got like 3 stories, and the top 2 stories are function rooms, which we've had a birthday party at for you.
Yes, I had my 20th. Okay. It was my 60th birthday, and it was fabulous. They did a fabulous job.
But they did do a fabulous job, but one of the things that was fabulous about it, besides my singing, was the verandas that they have there.
Yeah,
that overlook the city at night. It's just beautiful. It's just it's worth going. People do just go to Kangaroo Point just to go to the Story Bridge Hotel.
Yeah, look, and it's amazing because...
always busy.
It's always flat out.
Yeah.
There's no car parking.
No.
I don't know how they do it, but there's no car parking. So it's got to be mainly, locals that go there. But it's well known as being an iconic Brisbane hotel. It's always busy, great food. They have a fabulous restaurant there. And it's only, I would say, a 3-minute stroll from Docks on Goodwin where we stay.
Which I think we might have mentioned earlier. There's a couple of different restaurants there. There's like a really fancy one, and then they've got like the nice bar and grill, which is nice food.
Yeah, pub food basically. Your burgers and your parmigianas and your steaks and that sort of stuff.
It's a great spot. So I just also want to talk about a couple of other little things that are in right here at Kangaroo Point, and then we'll talk about other things that you can do from Kangaroo Point, why we think it's such a good area. So we just mentioned the Story Bridge Hotel, which is tucked in and under the Story Bridge, but right there, 3 minutes walk from Docks on Goodwin, where we're staying. There's it's really handy. There's a bottle shop.
Yeah, and they've got fantastic range of wine, really, really good.
They've got a little corner shop there, so that.
Night Owl.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, if you forget any toiletries, or you want to just get some snacks, or some really average hamburgers or something, you like that sort of food, that's fine. But it's really handy. I think I've bought tea bags there, and just those little things that you might want. Or if you want to make your own sandwiches or something, they've got food there. Right across the road from that is like a little cafe, which has really nice breakfast and coffee that you can buy as well.
Excellent fruit salad.
Yeah, fruit salad, that's right. There's like a little pizza shop restaurant there as well. And now there's very, very popular French bakery, Christian Jacques, which people just line up for.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it. They actually lined up. You're talking about like 100 metres, and they've lined up to go to this bloody French bakery. So it must be good. We haven't been... What's the word? Patient enough to...
Yeah, we did.
Bronnie,
Bronnie bought some nice bread and stuff from it for
that's right, for the other
we've been,
festivities that we had.
Yes. So right there, as I said, you can buy a little bit of food to cook. You can have some, quick, easy meals. You can go to the Story Bridge Hotel. You can, it's such a easy place to get around. You can just walk, and get what you need, which is so good if you're there for a few days, and you don't want to be eating out all the time. You want to make breakfast or something like that. So
we've been there so many times, and every time we've parked our car in the car park at Docks on Goodwin, and we have left it there until we leave.
Yes, exactly. So Docks on Goodwin, as we keep saying, is in a great spot right there on Kangaroo Point, and we just told you, you can go and get sort of cheap food and make your own if you want to. But there are a couple of other restaurants besides the Story Bridge Hotel that we love right there, and they're a couple of our favourites, aren't they? So we've been to, there's a Japanese restaurant called Mobo, and it's right, like it's not even 3 minutes walk from Docks, it's even closer. And we've been there a couple of times. And
so you turn left as you go out of the driver for Mobo's Japanese restaurant, and then
two doors up.
And then I think it's only one door up for Frida Kahlo, which is a Mexican restaurant, and you just turn right as you go out. That's fabulous too.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you come out the driveway of Docks on Goulburn, you've got the Mobo Japanese to the left, and you've got the Frida Kahlo Mexican to the right. And so Mobo I love because they've got the tempura they do there is really lovely, and the staff are amazing. I really, and it's sort of like an outdoor veranda sort of area, which is really nice, and they've got the lanterns and everything. It's really nice decor, and the food's amazing.
And it's pretty well priced too.
And then Frida Kahlo, I'm going to put a photo in the show notes of me with my Frida Kahlo t-shirt on. She's a Mexican artist, for those who don't know. And the sign for the Frida Kahlo restaurant is exactly the same as my t-shirt. So
correct.
Twins, And it used to be called the Summer House, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And it's a bit of an eclectic sort of little area where, not all the chairs match, and, it just really is a quirky little place to look at, right? And then they have really nice margaritas and also nice food. So that's Frida Kahlo's.
Yes, and I think what Leanne is avoiding letting you know is that they have really, really nice España vino, de vinos, Spanish wine.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, so
I wasn't avoiding that, no.
We really love it there, and then there's a little bit further. I suppose it's about a 10-minute walk down the river.
5 minute.
Maybe. I'm talking about that Italian restaurant.
Oh, okay.
We went
there's another
with
Italian
Callum Bron and
yes, there's another Italian sort of restaurant. There's sort of a
Danny Kelly. That's
a
what I was thinking of.
residential area down there, and they have a couple of restaurants in underneath. I don't like that area as much. I'd rather sit and look at the river if I can. But if you like Italian, sure, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But what I was going to talk about was one of our favourite little places. We go there for breakfast, right? But they do lunch and
pardon me, I know what you're talking about. I was wrong.
Yes, thank you. Did everyone get that? Doesn't admit that often. He just did it on, live air there.
Are you talking about Medley's?
Yeah, Medley. It's just this beautiful cafe restaurant right on the banks of the river and overlooking the other side, not the Brisbane city side, it's the other side. And they have the most amazing food. I had breakfast prawn tacos.
And I had spanner crab omelette.
Oh my gosh, weren't they good?
Yeah, the sort of stuff that we would never dream of having for breakfast.
Yeah.
But we go there, and now it's sort of our regular place to go for breakfast. And again, sort of big noting the weather. The weather's always beautiful in Brisbane, and it's lovely to sit outside and just start the day. And you've got the glisten of the river, and you've got the view across to Howard Smith
and then
Wharf.
You've got, if you're said in summer, you've got the jacaranda trees, and then a city cat just comes gliding by, and past you, and as it keeps going, you look to the left, and there's the Story Bridge Hotel, and then underneath that you can see the Howard Smith Wharf. It's just it's a great spot, isn't it?
Love it. Really
loved it. So, okay, that's a few reasons why we love staying at Docks on Goulburn, and it's Kangaroo Point. It's such a great spot, and you've got all that stuff you can do right there, and all the walk that we've done. But we often go down for a reason, and not obviously you can go down just to enjoy Brisbane, which we've done that too. But we often go for like something that we've got booked. So Docks on Goulburn or Kangaroo Point is an easy walk to the Gabba, which is the sporting stadium at Wollongabba. And it's a straight walk. You just go up one path and you're there, right? And the Gabba is where you can... Well, we went to see the first day night...
Yeah, cricket test
with England, didn't we?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's about a 20-minute walk probably to the Gabba, which is short for Wollongabba.
Yeah. But you know what? It was a 20-minute walk because we were with your mate Chafee,
Oh, okay.
He's a bit older, a bit slower.
Yeah, but...
It's only a kilometre, so...
Anyway, so we went... It was the first ever day-night cricket test, and unfortunately... Well, Initially, we were going to just have some dinner, so we went to the Pineapple Hotel, which is another iconic hotel that just happens to have Shaw and Smith.
Yes.
But unfortunately, our dinner was so nice. I think I had roast lamb. And it was so nice that we were a bit tired. We decided to watch the rest of the cricket, watching it on television at the Pineapple Hotel. So
plus, I also ran into someone I knew.
Oh, that's right. You did. So,
but the point is, right? Besides those drunken stories, you always got to tell.
Did I say you were drunk?
No,
I just said we.
But can we talk about why the Gabba? It's not just the cricket. The Gabba is where the
Brisbane Lions play, the AFL team.
Yeah, and other major sporting events, right? And they sometimes have concerts there as well. So it's a really popular sporting destination, and it's an easy walk from Docks Ongulbun or Kangaroo Point, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're actually redeveloping that for the 1932 Olympics.
Yeah, well,
in
you
Brisbane.
have to ask the Olympic Minister about that. But let's move on. So another reason, we've been to Brisbane, and you can get there easily from Kangaroo Point, is we've been to the River Stage, which is an outdoor concert venue in the Botanic Gardens that we mentioned earlier, right? Now, of course, I bet none of you can guess who we went to see. It might have been Jimmy Barnes, I think.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Barnes and others. But,
Others?
Yeah, no, there was other acts on as well.
But that's a great outdoor venue. It's right on the Brisbane River. It's a great, it's like a natural sort of amphitheatre. And so we've seen Jimmy Barnes there, and they do concerts all the time at the River Stage, at the Botanic Gardens in Brizzy,
Yeah, I'll give you one tip, though.
One tip.
Make sure you use the old Error at the River Stage, because it's just down a little bit behind the actual stage area. You've got the mangroves, and we went with our friends Annie and Wayne, and we got eaten alive.
Well, they thought they had bed bugs because they both woke up with bites all over
so look, it is a fabulous venue, but just be aware that at certain times of the year the mozzies are out.
I didn't get bitten, and I'm thinking it was probably because all of my fabulous dancing. They couldn't land on me.
Well, that was the night you and Annie went to the male toilets.
That's another story. So the Gabba, the River Stage. Now,
okay, now it's my turn. Suncorp.
It's always your turn. You keep telling my stories that probably aren't for publication, right?
Okay.
But anyway, go on.
So the Suncorp Stadium, which is across the river, you can either catch the City Cat and walk.
We get off at the Roma Street area, and then it's an easy walk from there.
Yeah, and we've been there. We've seen Ed Sheeran.
Yep.
Which was absolutely fabulous.
Yep. I've seen the Socceroos many times.
Leanne actually took me to my first football game.
Brisbane Roar, I've seen
Brisbane Roar. She took me there and embarrassed me in front of her family because I had no idea what the Brisbane Roar were. But then the other really big contest we saw there was the rugby union test between Australia and New Zealand.
Yep.
And
you're not going to tell another story, are you?
No, you are. Go on. Tell them the story. Come on, you've got to share.
Well, when you go to these football stadiums and people get up and they want to walk past, so everyone's got to stand up every time they go past. And I was at the end, so I'm going to cop everybody, right?
Sure.
So there's this one big guy, and he stands up to walk past.
And he was a Kiwi, and I think he was an ex-rugby league player.
Am I telling the story?
Sorry.
Yeah, right. And so he's going to walk past, and I've just looked him straight in the eye, and I said, everybody gets 3 turns. That's your first. In other words, I'm not standing up all the time just because you're drinking a lot of beer and you want to go past. He thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, we need to keep moving, darling. So we've been to the Gabba for sport. We've been to the River Stage.
Yep.
We've been to Suncorp Stadium. We've been to the Jazz Club. There's the Brisbane Jazz Club right there on Kangaroo Point. You can walk to from Docks Ongulbun, and we've been there, and it's just this little old building with, like a gorgeous veranda area outside right on the Brisbane River, and they have all that different jazz music, and the day we were there it was more of a Motown show. So, and we said we're going to go back and do it because we loved it. We've also been there to the Sit Down Comedy Club. We had to get an Uber to that one, but that was really easy to get to as well, and that's sort of over the other side of
in Paddington.
Yeah, sort of the other side of Suncorp Stadium, and we've been to concerts at, as we mentioned before, at the QPAC there, so that's easy to get to. So if you've got a show or a musical you're going to, Kangaroo Point's a great place to stay. And if you just want to, go to Fortitude Valley, which
I was waiting for this.
So we went to a concert at the
Tivoli,
and it was Lyle's favourite. Teddy Swims.
Yeah, from Alabama.
Yeah, and he was performing there, and so I bought him tickets for that.
That was for my birthday?
Yeah, and so that's just...
We had VIP tickets?
We did have VIP. We met... We
met
a photo and
Teddy.
Got a concert just for the few of us, an acoustic one, and I'll put photos of that on our website as well. But if you go to our Instagram at Beach Travel One, you will see if up the top there's obviously a Brisbane story highlight, but there's also a Teddy Swims. He's got his own story highlight there, so you can see the little performance he did for us.
Amazing voice.
Yeah. But that area of Fortitude Valley is being done up all the time, and it's now like, it used to be a bit gringy, a bit, what's the word you use? Edgy.
Edgy, untidy.
No, not untidy, edgy. But now it's really known as like a district to go to for lots of meals. And we went to the another restaurant which we'd recommend.
El Camino Cantina.
Which is, as you can tell, Mexican.
And the food was fabulous. And they had those huge cocktails, remember?
Yeah.
And you shared the cocktail?
We didn't have one.
No, we didn't, because we were going to see Teddy, and we just wanted to be tidy. But it was the food. I couldn't believe how good the food was there.
But the amount of different music venues and things in that Fortitude Valley, once again, it's a really easy place to get to from Kangaroo Point.
Yeah.
So I think we've probably convinced you that Brisbane's a great place for at least a weekend, or if you want to go out somewhere, it's, you can get everywhere you need to go. One thing we didn't mention, which by the time we get the podcast out, I would have forgotten. Damn it! But we will add here that they are building a bridge, which should be done by mid-2023, where it's once again it's just a walk bridge. It's called an eco bridge. You can walk from Kangaroo Point all the way to the Botanic Gardens on the other side, and that's just going to be like fabulous, because you can go to anything in the city without having to catch the city cat and all that sort of stuff. And it'll just be amazing, don't you think?
Yeah. Look, it's
it just seems like there's always something going on in that Kangaroo Point area to make it even better to stay.
Yeah, it's almost like the topping on top of the cake.
Yeah, right. Icing.
Yeah, icing. Sorry, yeah.
The icing on top of the cake. Because when we first started going, there wasn't Howard Smith Wharf. There wasn't the City Cat going there. It's just developing all the time. And that new bakery, and it just we're probably going on and on about it, but it is a great spot if you're going to go to Brisbane. Have a couple of days. Go to Kangaroo Point, and we'd certainly recommend Doc's on Goodwin, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Lyle, as we come to the end of another, sunset on the boulevard, don't know where that came from. Where is your favourite place to have a glass of wine in the Brisbane Kangaroo Point, area?
This is going to surprise you.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that 2-story restaurant in the middle of the Queen Street Mall. Watching, just people watching and watching the street performers. And we've had a lot of, just between you and I, just some really good laughs. And I really enjoy that. And obviously, a couple of times it's been pretty spontaneous. In fact, one of them we were just on our walk, and it was I thoroughly loved it. Yeah, really good. So that's my.
All right. Well, I'm going to say, I've probably got a couple, but I'm going to say there's a restaurant we went to in South Bank, and we were sitting right on the river, and this is before we went to the River Stage concert, and they had Sharon Smith, and we were sitting up high on an outdoor table, looking, at the sun going down, and
with Annie and Wayne.
Yeah, with the lights coming on in Brisbane City, drinking a Sharon Smith.
the most expensive Sean Smith
we've ever had. Yeah. And
but it was worth it. I think Wayne paid anyway.
He did pay. Good on you, Wayne. But actually, we talk about the cheapest Sean Smith we've ever had in episode 37, which was all about Darwin and Kakadu.
Yeah.
And this is the most expensive. But, I'm putting it up there as one of my favourites, so it was worth the extra money. Yes?
Sure, absolutely. And I think, look, the thing that I love about Kangaroo Point and Brisbane is, as I said earlier, you just park the car, you leave it in the garage, and you go everywhere by either foot or the city cats, or it's just perfect.
And it has something for everybody.
Absolutely.
Dining, shopping.
South Bank for kids.
Yeah, we didn't even mention, because we haven't been to one, it's an art museum, but, there's all... The casino, there is something for everybody.
And it's such a clean city.
Beautiful city. We love it. The river city, Brisbane, right? It's not McDougall, it's Brisbane.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I think I think we sort of slightly mentioned it, you mentioned it earlier, but from Docks on Goodwin to look across at the city, across the river, and the lights of the city at night, it's fantastic.
Fantastic. So go to our website, beachtravelwine.com, and this is episode 38, and you'll find all the...
nearly 40.
All the, like me, the show notes and pictures all there.
That's stretching it.
All there. Or go to our Instagram at Beach Travel Wine, where you can story highlights, where you'll see Teddy Swims and also Brisbane, and enjoy the videos there. And until next time, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.